Hi, I'm Josh Richman, and I'm here today with jazz lesson videos. After graduating from the Juilliard School, I've gone on to perform professionally and teach at Temple University in Philadelphia. Today we're going to check out some fundamental techniques for learning jazz piano. Whether you're an existing pianist looking to develop what you already do, or you play another instrument looking to get into piano. All this content comes from my new course on jazz piano fundamentals. If you want to dive deeper, check out the link below. Let's go through some basic scale fundamentals. So we'll start with major scales. First thing to know is your finger numbers. So your thumbs are always 1, your pinkies are always 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So start with one hand at a time. Let's start with the right hand. So if we start with the C major scale, it's all the white notes. So you take your thumb or your first finger, put it on C, and you're going to play 1, 2, 3, and then cross with 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then when you come down from the top, you're starting with your 5 or your pinky. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cross. 3, 2, 1. So from bottom to top, back down to bottom. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. And that's your right hand. And then you play with your left hand, starting on your pinky, which is your 5th finger. You're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cross with your 3rd finger, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Now you're at the top with your 1st finger or your thumb, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3. Cross with your thumb, your 1st finger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, from bottom to top, back down to bottom. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then once you've practiced each hand separately and you feel confident and you feel ready to do more, go hands together. Whenever you do hands together, always start very slow, painfully slow. So this is how I would practice my scales. This is how I still practice my scales. I highly recommend going slow. It's a lot of information to process if you're not used to this, and by going slow you can make sure you're using the correct fingering on each hand, really developing those fundamentals that are going to be so important for everything you do going forward, and also it gives you a chance to really focus on your sound as well, so that you're not playing, really loud or, bright. You can get a really nice sound, and yeah, all good reasons to practice slowly. So in the jazz world, we deal with lots of 7th chords. So there's several types. First one we can start with is a major 7 chord. All that is the first note, the 3rd note, the 5th note, and the 7th note of a major scale, which is again why I was saying to really know your major scales. So if we're talking about C major 7, for instance, the 1st note, the 3rd note, the 5th note, and the 7th note, and you have a C major 7. It's also every other note in the scale. There's a couple of different ways you can think about it, even more than that, but that's what I would roll with, okay? So here's your C major 7. Wonderful. The problem you get into is that it just sounds kind of basic, and you might want to play this chord in more creative ways if you're starting to play some jazz tunes. So here's one totally legitimate jazz voicing that you can use that's very simple to figure out. So in your left hand, you play the 1st and you play the 7th. So that would be this note and this note. Put those in your left hand. And then your remaining 2 notes are your 3rd and your 5th. So have those in your right hand. And now you have 1 and 7 in your left, 3 and 5 in your right. And there's your C major 7 in this particular voicing, which sounds great. It's nothing like terribly complex. It's not going to blow anybody's mind, but it is totally legitimate. You can absolutely use this when you're playing tunes. Okay? What is a minor 7? 1, go back to your 1, 3, 5, 7 of the major scale. Make the 3rd minor, so flat it. Make the 7th flatted, lower it a half step. Now you have a C minor 7, so 1, minor 3rd, 5, flat 7. So 1, 7, 3, 5. This is great. This is totally great voicing. do this in, let's say, major thirds. Let's try that. So major third higher than C is E. So let's go 1 flat 7, minor third 5. Major third higher than E is A flat, 1, minor 7, flatted 7th, minor third 5th. Okay, and that brings you back to C. Do the same thing a half step higher than where we started. So D flat, 1, flatted 7, minor third 5. If a major third is F, if you've gotten into jazz a lot at all, you know that 2-5-1s are everywhere. So, got to know your 2-5-1s, got to get comfortable with them. So, like anything else, lots of reps in different ways, right? So, and doing things through the keys. So, what is a 2-5-1? So, you got your 2 chord, which is in a major key, is minor 7. You got your 5 chord, which in a major key is dominant 7, and you got your 1 chord, which in a major key is major 7. So if we're in the key of C, your 2 chord would be D, minor 7, your 5 chord would be G, dominant 7, and your 1 chord would be C, major 7. So obviously, you know, that doesn't sound too amazing, right? You want to put some jazz voicings on it or something. Also, it's just jumping around a lot, right? So you could do simple inversions like this, which are gonna be great, but we want to maybe do 2-handed jazz voicings. So let's do what we've learned already. 1 7 3 5 for your D minor 7. 1 7 3 5. Okay. Now, just looking at this chord here, we want to make this resolve to the 5 chord in a way that makes sense. You gotta imagine like we have a 4-part choir here, and everybody's singing. So you don't want to be having the voices like all over the place. You want to have it logical so that it can be easily singable. Well, your root D is going to want to go to G. We're going to generally want to have the root on the bottom. So let's have the root go up to G for your G7. If we sing the C, that wants to resolve down a half step. So we're going to bring that down to B, which is the 3rd of G7. Your F is the 3rd on D minor 7. It also happens to be the 7 on G7, so we can leave that as it is. The A is the 3rd on the D minor 7. You might think, well, let's just bring it back down to G. But then we're doubling the 1, and in this particular situation, that doesn't sound like particularly wonderful. You could say, all right, well, let's move it up to the 3, and then we're also doubling the 3rd here, and then you have like a tritone and a tritone in a row, and it generally doesn't sound great. So let's be even lazier and just leave the A where it is. A is the 9 on the G7, and that is totally okay. What note are we not playing right now? We're not playing the 5. But again, the 5 is like the least important note out of any of these notes here. So, right, the root's very important. The 3 makes it major or minor. The 7 determines if it's a major 7 or a minor 7. It's very important. The 5 just, here's it with the 5. Here's it without the 5. Nothing really changed. It's just slightly emptier, I guess. So we can do without the 5, and it's really okay. Okay, so starting with your 2 chord, you have 1 and 7, and in your 5 chord, you have 1 and 3. Right hand stays the same. All you have to worry about is your left hand going from 1 and 7 to 1 and 3. That's it. And then when we get to our 1 chord, let's go in the same position that we played our 2 chord. 1 7 3 5. 2 5 1. Easy. All right, so let's take a look at Autumn Leaves, okay? So your first 3 chords is a 2-5-1, right? So that's one of the things we want to do is we want to become really familiar with not only playing them, but seeing them, right? That way, when you see a 2-5-1, you think about that as like one package rather than 3 separate chords. It can make it a little bit easier for yourself. So C minor 7, F7, B flat major 7. Those are the first 3 chords in Autumn Leaves if we're playing it in the key of G minor. So we can use the same voicings that we used when we played our 2-5-1s. 1 7 3 5, 1 3 7 9, where the right hand doesn't move, right? 1 7 3 5. And we can kind of just play a melody, chord, chord, melody, chord, chord. Minor 2-5. you can mix up the rhythms how you want so that it's not the same thing every single time. But that's something really simple that we've worked through a little bit, and you can easily play this on autumn leaves, and it sounds totally fine, you know? And if you're not ready for that kind of tempo, go a little slower. Right? And so on. Then we get to the second half of the tune. It's a little bit different now, right? Melody is a little more active. The chord progression is a little bit different, right? So for this one, I might do maybe something like... Still pretty similar. So the first part there, right there, so it's a minor 2-5-1 in G minor, 2-5, and I'm playing minor 6. You can do minor major 7. Like I said, either one works. And then this is the same chords as the beginning, but a different melody. Okay? Now this last part is a little more complex because the melody is a little more active and it's higher than it was. So something like this part, I might just play the left-hand portion of my voicings that we learned, and in my right hand, just play the melody. So it doesn't sound as full as it could be, but we kind of don't have too many options. There's always things we can do, but for a start, I think this is totally fine. Okay, so that's your minor 2-5. And then we basically, again, there's many different versions of chords we can play, but let's go with 3-6-2-5-1 in E flat major, meaning G minor 7, C7, F minor 7, B flat 7, E flat major 7. Okay? Now at this point, the right hand's kind of done playing for a little bit. I might bring my right hand down and fill these chords out. Okay, so just for the first part, you're just left hand playing the chords by themselves. Fill it in. And then maybe you want to resolve to E flat major here. So you could do this, but then your melody's up here, which is pretty impossible. So instead of playing 1-7 on this chord, I might do 1-3 up here, 1-3-7-9. Stick the melody on top. And then we just have a minor 2-5. Check out this bend, right? That's something I did there we talked about earlier. You don't have to do this. If you want to go give it a try, go for it.